Dhwani is an initiative of Innoberry, which is offering a platform for the women to voice their thoughts, struggles, challenges, achievements, highs and lows, and the journey that they have undertaken. I am Pooja Bhatia, a tech transfer, patent licensing, and intellectual property professional, and now your host for this show. Let's inspire and get inspired. Hi, hello, namaskar, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the first session in the first series of knowledge series on protecting your digital content with Arushi Gupta. I don't know how many of you are aware, but I and Arushi did a lot of chat over LinkedIn on hashtags. And that is when we decided let's talk about how hashtags can be protected. And this is what we are going to discuss today in our first session. Thanks, Arushi, for joining me today. And thank you for letting me eat your head on how to protect hashtags.
Pleasure is all mine, Pooja. Such mind-boggling sessions or discussions actually bring out, I think it churns out a lot of knowledge.
Yes, there's so much out there right now in terms of digital content. It's very difficult to get through the maze and understand what is protectable, what is not protectable, especially if you're an IP professional. It's difficult
Yes.
to implement IP in your own life. And if you are creating digital content, it's the biggest challenge. So today we'll be discussing about hashtags, and I have finally finalized my hashtag thanks to Arushi, and I'll be posting that post soon. But now let's start with, are actually hashtags protectable?
So, see, now the fact that social media handles are getting more popularized, or your posts become more reachable to the audience through hashtags. Hashtags, there are very generic hashtags when we see a particular post, but then there are some hashtags which will actually relate to a particular brand, to a particular company, or to a particular person or artist for that matter. So, like, if you talk about my firm, if you talk about Satyaki Legal, the particular hashtag that we use is hashtag protect to promote. So, because it comes from an idea that you should first protect yourself, or protect your IP and then go into promotion. That's how we came up with this hashtag called protect to promote. So, when we talk about hashtags, you have to, when we have to figure out which IP or which form of IP can be, it can be protected under. So we always, as we were taught during our nascent stage of practice, we should always go back to the origin of the act, in the sense that what is the statement of objects and reasons? Why did this act actually come into force? So if we talk about hashtags, when they relate themselves to a particular brand or to an owner, so, then you go back and see that it's only a trademark that can actually protect a hashtag. To what extent that can be protected or not it's going to lie under the provisions. But the object of Trademarks Act is something that can actually sufficiently fulfill the protection of a hashtag.
So, are you saying that hashtags, since they are playing a key role in branding, could be protected as a brand through the trademarks?
Yes, absolutely. There are so many of these brands which have their own particular, taglines. Now, these
Mhm.
taglines can actually be, used over social media in the form of hashtags, or, probably some keywords that relate to this particular brand. And even for that matter, the brand name itself can be a hashtag, right? So that when you want to particularly search for that brand, you type in that hashtag, and then you go for you search and the search results will come. So that's how hashtags are actually, a form of branding only. That's what I have a particular opinion about.
So, hashtag is a step ahead for branding, is it?
Yes, that is, and it's more searchable form of uh, you know uh, we can say probably posts or content over social media. So when those hashtags, suppose, if somebody starts using your hashtag, right, or starts misusing your hashtag, then what will happen? They will, attract more viewership, and your viewership might get, decrease because of that, or probably get distributed over with the other brand. So in that scenario, if you protect your hashtag as a trademark, you can probably restrain somebody else from using it, right? So in that way, I believe that, they have taken that form of branding, because it's going to, the main idea of a brand is attraction of consumers, right? And that's how, if a hashtag is being used for attracting particular viewership, then of course it is a, mini brand now.
Great. So that means we have to be very careful in choosing the hashtags, right? I mean, we shouldn't choose something that is going to infringe on anybody else's brand as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So,
Because we have, suppose if I'm trying to post something and using somebody else's hashtag, right, I'm probably attracting their consumers over my page. But then also, if I'm trying to sell the same goods as them, then obviously the consumership is going to get, distributed between two brands, and they can definitely come against me and ask me, that, please stop, you cannot do this, it's my hashtag. Of course, the law behind it is something else, you have to fulfill the requirements of, restraining somebody. But then again, it starts from the first step, that you protect your own hashtag and be unique in yourself.
पहले खुद को बचाओ, बाद में दुनिया की सोचो.
That's the idea, protect and then promote.
Promote. True, true. That's a very nice hashtag that you have used. It's very, very creative, and it's conveying a very
It's like,
powerful message.
yes, that's the idea actually.
So when you say, Arushi, that these can be protected as trademarks, are there uh, are there any broader framework for protecting it? What is the scope of doing so?
So, see, for today's discussion, especially, I would like to bring this point into picture, that, trademark basically, there were, there's a conventional form where trademarks are in form of words or pictures in the sense logos. So that is there, right? But when you come to, the unconventional forms have taken such huge, forms in themselves. Like, there's smell trademark, there's shape trademark, there's 3D trademarks, there's holograms. So there are so many forms that, we will in ourselves will have to sit and probably, have a whole other discussion or whole other panel on whether, in what form can a hashtag in itself lie, or will hashtag come out to be you know a form in itself in future. So this is one of the things, but then definitely it's a premise where we see that, if it's a safe game, if it's a safe play, we can definitely use the hashtag, or, attract protection for hashtags in the existing forms. Definitely, why not? But then, with growing forms, with, how trademarks have evolved with social media and probably inventions also for that matter. So like if I talk about Maggi masala, right? It has a particular smell, it
Yeah.
has a particular taste. But can that be trademark? That is still debatable, because a taste is something that you cannot retain and apply for. Because again, the taste is going to degrade over time. From the application process to registration, the taste is definitely going to get degraded. And then how do you retain smell? You cannot. But then if you talk about jingles and sound recordings, they, the law has taken that form where you file in those CDs, and those jingles can be, notation को आप file कर दीजिए, and then, you go for a submission of CDs, and those jingles have been, consequently recognized as trademarks. So similarly, even though hashtags are going to be much easier, but then that's an evolution that we're still, yet to discuss. We're yet to, ponder upon, as how these can be protected. But then definitely it is a good subject matter that should be highlighted, that should be taken into consideration and be worked upon. That's basically the idea.
I really wonder, when you talk about conventional and non-conventional trademarks, where would hashtag actually lie? Because hashtag is just a word, right, that we are using. But if it's a brand, it may have a logo.
Yes,
So, so it's it could be a mixture or a combination. So then how would you classify it?
that's one of the things. And you know, a hashtag is an unconventional trademark, but it can have a conventional form. That's what I believe. Like you just said, it could be a word or device combination, right? But then I also wonder what what are we going to actually write under description? What class of marks will you file it in? When we talk about nice classification. So there are so many issues that will come up. But then to begin with, of course, it can be a basic conventional word mark. But will the registry accept a hashtag hash along with it? Because that's
Right.
not a form of word. So
Yeah.
these are few things that we have yet to ponder upon. But then, of course, like I said, it can take a conventional form. It can be as simple as a word, or it can be as simple as a device. But then again, it's going to take different forms. So we yet to, like it's going to be a mix and match. Probably we have to start encouraging our clients, or probably spread this message where people start protecting it, and hence the law will come up. Like it has always been, the societal changes brings up the law.
Yeah.
So here again, when people start filing the applications or probably approach the court in case of a dispute, it's then that's going to come. But it has to start with this awareness that we have to protect hashtags as well. So,
Yeah,
and
that
that
it's
also I think
another
will start with infringement.
Yeah, that's another another thing to be added to your basket of the IP portfolio, of having something which is different, because any organization or even any individual will definitely be using a hashtag. It's nowadays that's a must, right? On LinkedIn or any other platform. If you are not using a hashtag, how are you going to get your story viral? So you need an
Exactly.
hashtag.
Yes, you absolutely need to, like I still remember some of my posts that have got, huge amount of viewership just because of the right hashtag. And then there's also one of the things of, collating your own content under a particular hashtag so that that hashtag becomes popular.
Yeah,
So
there's
that
a
it's a
connection.
two-way game. Huh. It's a two-way game. You promote your hashtag also by putting in more content with that hashtag, and also use the existing hashtags or the generic hashtags so that your content becomes popular.
So it follows the
So
same rule, right? Like in trademarks, if you have a generic trademark, it accumulates value over the period of time, then it's no longer a generic trademark. So same with the
e-
hashtag.
exactly. Like, Taj Mahal Basmati rice or all of those brands that it happens with, that it's, even though if it's generic, they have accumulated so much worth over the years that it's never going to, go to somebody else, and it's going to get protected just by its own goodwill. So it's a two-way game. Like, whatever risk the proprietor or the entrepreneur is ready to take, start with a generic one, become popular, or start with being unique and then make it popular by putting in more content or worth to it. So that's one thing. But then again, it's an evolving thing. We have to take it with, that's what IP is about. You have to, it's ever evolving. That's why it's one of my, I always wanted to practice intellectual property because of its dynamism. There's no stagnant thing that's ever going to be with it. And hashtags is one of the most evolving issues right now.
So is it just in India, or is it globally? Like the trademark law is still evolving with respect to social media.
It must be because, it has come from the West, as we usually connote it as. It has
Mm.
come from the other countries. The popularization of digital content, it did not start from India. It has, started with, social media platforms, not even like Facebook. I'll say TikTok, you had Instagram, you had Twitter for that matter. Twitter has basically made hashtags very, very popular. So all of this content, when it started getting popularized there, The trend has started in India. The trend has picked up at a very, very fast pace in India now. And it is going at such a faster speed that you have to catch hold of it before it goes wrong. Because if it goes wrong for any one person, it's going to go wrong very massively because it's so
Right.
popular. The kind of, if we start reading hashtags now, like all our viewers should start reading hashtags very, very minutely to understand the kind of hashtags people are using. Some of them do not even make sense when they're
And
being
now
used in
there
a.
are generators also, right? I've seen few tools which are hashtag generators. Uh, Earlier there were people, experts who would help you with the hashtag. But now I have seen there are AI based tools which are helping you in generating the hashtag relevant to your content that you are posting. So in that sense, uh, I don't know how unique would it be if it's getting generated not by you but by some other machine.
So what is happening is whatever is trending, they'll generate those hashtags for you, whether they are relevant to you or not. So, in this scenario, if these hashtags are being protected, I think, the authenticity of the content online will also play a major role. Like, if suppose it's hashtag intellectual property. Okay, suppose that hashtag is trending because there is an IP day today or IP week that's being celebrated by Vico. So over 2-3 days, what if people start putting probably something that is completely something, probably boutique uh, clothes or probably makeup videos, even though there is nothing that is not intellectual property that I can think of, and it is a digital content. There is nothing like that. But then what if people start putting probably jewelry pictures and they start using intellectual hashtag intellectual property? Would it make sense? And the authenticity of the content that we find online when we search with this hashtag will not make sense.
It's getting
So
diluted.
yeah, it is, and it's exactly something that trademark stops. That's brand dilution. And with the amount of content that we are putting online nowadays, it's huge. It's huge. And imagine all of that content going wrong, getting messed up.
Yeah. That's a tricky
You're looking,
situation, right?
that's a very, very tricky situation. So, set people straight to protect, like how we probably prevent counterfeiting. Otherwise, imagine heaps of Puma Adidas clothes lying on the streets. Even though that's happening even now, I still remember watching or sitting for one of the seminars where we had the in-house counsel of Puma. And he says that you can't imagine the amount of money we spend on preventing counterfeiting, yet there is so much counterfeiting.
Yeah.
So there's only an extent to which they can prevent it. So, imagine that is going to be a situation with the content. You put in a hashtag, but you're not sure whether you're going to get the right content or not. So that is a situation where you have to prevent it. Now, again, you cannot prevent somebody from using generic hashtags, right? But then what if there are some unique hashtags that are relating to those brands? So you can probably filter it out.
Filter it
If
out.
you want
Yeah.
a huge content, you search with a generic trademark. But then if you want something that's, a refined search result, you have those people that you relate to a particular brand. Okay, these hashtags are protected. So we'll search with this because we want a refined result. So that's one of the situations why I feel it is a very important subject matter of intellectual property now.
So, what do you foresee in terms of evolution of the trademark law, in India right now? Where do you see them going?
In the terms of procedure, we are very slow. I'll be very, very honest because uh, the examination of unconventional trademarks takes a lot of time. Something which is even as simple as a series trademark user. So that takes a lot of time. I've been there, I've filed for series trademarks, and the procedure is also not very clear. Even if there is a word mark, you have to file it in the form of a graphical content. If it's a
Yeah.
series trademark, for example, if we discuss that. But if we talk about evolution in terms of practice, I believe anything and everything that relates to your particular brand, even if the pattern of shirt that you're wearing, or even if a pattern of shirt that I am wearing, if it relates to a particular brand, everything and anything that has to be trademark, that should be protected under it. So that is the basic idea. So, I mean, that's how I
Everything
see it.
should be connected and interlinked to have a complete package
Yes,
protection.
that, and that is what we call as an entire portfolio, right?
Yeah.
So the the portfolio will not get completed in itself, or those loopholes in the portfolio will probably disturb the existing protected, works of IP, if there is a loophole that remains, if there are things that are not protected, be it something as minor as a hashtag or a picture or a jingle, anything, or a sound recording, or an ad that does not, that goes out of protection. So all of these, they form an entire portfolio, and hence they should be protected. And that's how, trademark, because it determines the entire goodwill. I think that's one of the primary factors of determining a goodwill that needs to be protected in each and every.
So that's, it leads to more questions. But Arushi, I won't be taking much of your time now. We'll leave that for the next session. We'll continue our conversation there, discuss more on how and whether the trademarks, whether the hashtags are actually protectable as trademarks in our next session on June 25th, same time, same place, with me and Arushi. Please join us again and we'll continue the conversation. Thank you so much.